effective abolition of child labor below 14 years, below 18 years. No one is allowed to work in industries, and also what we call some industries are very hazard industries are there, like chemical industries and gas industries. No, we can't, and the children cannot be allowed such kind of industries. And the provision of workplace discrimination, there is no discrimination for men and women or uh, regarding this position. All are under the standards of ILO, International Labour Organization. They are suggested the world to follow this. And the social security, they are basic human beings. So, so they have to human rights and welfare measures, collective bargaining based on the ILO conventions and recommendations. All member countries. India is also a fundamental member. India is also a member country of ILO. So that is the reason we have so much of activities, so much of laws. We yesterday we discussed laws can be three, the state or central or sometimes both. Our framing the prime objective is the fair remuneration and right to these employees. So examples of law method to improve the condition labor indicators as below. So establishment of maximum working days or a week to decide establishments, mean whatever the organizations, they can fix working hours, working days, and their policy and prevention of unemployment. Industries can be right. Industry can be promote employment opportunity to the young youth and creating more employment opportunities. Provision for adequate living wages as per the market demand, as per the no, to avoid to protection against the strikes, diseases, injuries against our employment. Like we have seen this COVID period, how these MSMEs, small medium enterprises, are affected, and those employees working in the organizations, they also face a lot of problems in COVID period. So because there is a government of India also at that time, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So like industries also can take loan from the banks, and also government also given from protection for this those are working in MSMEs to safeguard to help their families and giving certain amount to each family member, each worker. Those are getting basic minimum wage salary. So then the protection of child, women, and a young person also provisions for odd age people means like so declaration of Philadelphia no, in 1994. So every year ILO conducting these conferences organized there. So this is a very important one. Restricted trade traditional objectives of the ILO, then branches to directions, certainly human rights to social policy, and the need international economic planning with end the World War, right? 1945 to no, the first, second World War is also period, so they can take this revolution. Then the main motto or preamble of ILO is the preamble of ILO constitute which was initially supplemented by the peace, supplemented by the peace treaty of 1919, and later the Philadelphia Declaration 1941 when the objectives and resolution follows. See that the objectives, labor is not a product or a commodity, right? So it is a human being, right? We need human touch to the employees, and they have a family. So based on that based on that the industry the where the management they give this priority for humans. Freedom for expression and association are essential for substantial progress. So poverty anywhere the constitution is a danger, then industries can provide employment worldwide, all are we have seen. But in 1919 they declared the objectives are follows. ILO objectives set and promote standards and fundamental principles and rights to its workers. So worker has they have the fundamental rights like India Constitution providing these fundamental rights and duties. Similarly, so industry also industries laws, industry acts also providing same uh, kind of rights to the workers to create greater opportunity for women and men to decent work, employment income. So no, industries can be provide more employment opportunity for men and women and payment of fair remuneration and also give the employment opportunity to younger generation to increase our employment opportunities to enhance the coverage and effectiveness of social protection for all. So that is the reason we have a PF, employee provident fund, pensions, all under our social protection for once is a uh, retired, they need to survive in society as a human being. The government or industry has a right to give certain pension or benefit to as a social protection for all, strengthening tripartism and the social dialogue, right? So social dialogue means we have to give the opportunity for other side also what they thought, what are these, all these, the formulation of international policies, programs to promote basic human rights. So working in a living conditions, enhancing employment opportunities is one of these objective of ILO. And the creation of industrial relation standards backed by unique backed by a unique system and supervise their applications also labor organization. Like there are a number of objectives are there. The final objective is prevention for children welfare and maternity protection. So see this how the children are employs children. No, if the woman is working and see she has a right, she has a right to claim the maternity benefit as per the laws there, as per legal laws. Okay, so then international labor law codes are there. So basic human rights, labor administration, industrial relations, employment policy, all are there. Then there are three organs of industrial organization, ILOs, that is International Labor Conference. Every year they conducted in the month of June. They're conducting different places, different countries. They choose international labor conferences, and one of these executive body, body governing bodies there, and executive council. These body meet every quarter, March, every 4 year once, March, June, and November in a year. International Labour Office also there. It is Secretariat Office is there. They have to monitor day-to-day activities throughout the year. So these are three organs of ILO, International Labour Organization, to monitor all these. So this governing body, ILO governing body, and day-to-day labor office is there. So how these ILO and Indian government work together to safeguard the rights of employees or workers. So like uh, India is also a founder state, and 28 years before it will be achieved independent. Before independent only India is a member country. Why? Because India is a such a type country. So we need to protect our workers, our laborers' rights. The post-independent with rising with the world biggest democracy. So ILO, prominent partner, the Association for Peace, Social Justice, and standards embedded. So like India is also playing a very important role in ILO, and with this same ILO and India have the common aim, goal, and destiny of both them committed to the world peace, freedom, and social justice. So both are the same direction, both aim of this Indian government as well as ILO. At the same time, both are striving for socio-economic betterment for the long suffering, long forgettable people, the people who are unprivileged and undernourished with this full realization. The further delay, the world factor themselves and the whole world will be required. Right? Some of the ratification ILO standards by India means India has adopted some of these ILO standards, right? So those are good, and see that in Canada, Australia, we have an industrial, in our Indian Constitution, Article 253 talked about expression uh, provides the notwithstanding. See these, we have whatever these industrial organization standards are there. These standards are be adopted, and also some are in our part of our Indian Constitution. So based on Indian Constitution, we have so many acts are there regarding international labors as well as labor laws. So after this conventions recommendation to the ILO regarding basic human rights, right? We have international Human Rights Day celebrated, International Human Rights Day every year, December 10th, recently last month. So celebrated we celebrate International Human Rights Day also. And then, so first in the year 1947, freedom of association and protection of human rights organized this year 1948. So right to organize and collective organism. So every year they will take one theme, cut the theme, they will discuss and frame the policies and influence of ILO standards, Indian labor legislation. So we are influencing, right? ILO standards. So see, yesterday also we discussed, we have so many acts are there, right? So many acts, right? So many acts are there, more than 100 acts, more than 47 acts are there, right? These are acts also in aligned with ILO. Role of ILO and labor management relations. So how the labor and management will be relation. The role of ILO also, ILO playing a very important role. They gives the direction the world countries. So so conventions and recommendation the country has to be implemented for betterment of world peace, world peace as well as fair remuneration, employment opportunities, all are there. So the critical human functions of ILO are following these goal cited, establish international labor standards. So uniformity is right. Now the world is what we call integrated. So we will say that world is a village, right? So all countries are directly, indirectly are dependent other nations, right? See that our some of the people working in Saudi Arabia, so they have their own policies, they have own tradition, they have their own act. Some people working in Singapore, they have very tight policies, and right, some are very, Singapore, Malaysia, or Indian people at the USA, Canada, Japan. See, Indians are spread all around the globe, but so we need to know ILO has to protect and they need to frame a common labor standards, either working hours, either fair remuneration, or see that maternity benefits, right? Are there the free education for the workers, family members? So, like they need to establish international labor standard to collective distribute formation of labor and industrial conditions to provide technical assistance. So if any assistance required, the ILO is a front rule to give the technical assistance also for such cases. So now the International Labour Organization 149 conventions and they recommended 150 recommendations. 156 recommendation, 149 conventions means 149 meetings were conducted so far regarding this labor laws they do. So, like human rights, including freedom of association, all whatever we discussed earlier, all they are recommended. ILO is recommended. So, industrial health, safety, welfare, social security, the migration, and labor administration, and statistics and more mainly dealing with the industries, mining, transport, agriculture, shipping. The special problems are of developing nations like India and Malaysia. Some of the developing nations they're facing a problem, and so these ILO is helping these nations and framing these recommendations, suggesting this, implement these, framing this, like it gives the direction. See, the International Labour Conference is celebrating 10th anniversary adopted by this General Assembly of UN Nations Declaration in the year 1958. 48 and first convention, now the 58 is the 10th. Then the recently 50 years also over. So such an old organization in the world and concerning it has ratified 6 out of 8 core fundamentals of our ILO. There are Labor's Fourth Convention in the year 1930, abolition of forced labor convention 1957, and equal remuneration for convention in the year 1951. At the same time, right, equal remuneration convention, discrimination convention in the year 1958, and the minimum wage convention 1973, and a worst form labor child convention 1999. So India has not ratified the core and fundamental convention, namely freedom of association protection in the 1948 and the right to organize and the collective organism 1949. The main reason is non-ratify ILO Convention number 8788 due to certain restrictions imposed by the government servants. Right? The government servant, they have some restrictions. As they communicated by the Department of Personal Training, DOP, DO, DOPT. So departmental, this is the highest body, right? All are government employees serving under the Department of Personal Training. So the ratification of these conventions would involve uh, can, uh, granting of certain rights that are prohibited under these constitutional rules and regulations. So labor laws regulates the matter of such labor, unemployment, remuneration, and condition. All are will see the ILO and India is working together. So these are this list of international labor conventions ratified by India since 1919 to 1992. So here 47 last one is updated 2017. Mm, Still the protocol 1990. These 2017 onward, no, we adopted so many conventions and implemented also. So difficulties in adoption of conventions and recommendations of ILO. Why? Because so so ILO is recommending the global wide as per our convenient, as per our system. See, we followed what we call federal system. So India has some limitations. We can't implement 100% conventions submitted by recommended by this recommended by this ILO. But as per our local situations, local policies, our constitution, our laws, we have implementing few and few we won't implemented as per our constitution. So this is the summary of ILO and Indian working together. Now after this, we'll move to fourth second block, fourth unit. So fourth unit for block is the Factories Act 1948. First, after independence, the first act is Factory Act 1948. So any doubt in the third unit? Anyone please? Anyone? Any doubts?
No doubt,
Or
sir. No doubt.
shall I move to this block number two? It's under
O-
Factories Act. So,
Okay.
so this is the Factory Act. Now we are in block number two. Uh, Block number two, unit number four is Factories Act. So these acts as enacted and passed in the year 1948 after getting the independence. Why? Because previously, all the organizations under this, there is no separate law. The fact earlier laws are there, but there is no specific law for labor regarding these labors. So, like these law related to, we talked about health, safety, welfare, working hours of adults, and wages and compensation, hazards process, annual leave with wage, special provisions, all are covered in this Labor Act 19, Factories Act 1948. So this act, the first Factories Act passed in the year 1881. The Britishers were introduced. The first Factories Act passed in the British Parliament 1881. It was a comprehensive version with introduced section 1911 also. So it was later amended four times. Then, right, based on the recommendation of Rake Committee, the Government of India enacted the Factories Act 1948, a comprehensive piece of legislation which come with force April 1949 onwards. So the Factory As Act will be implemented. And these are what are the objective? The objective of the Factories Act 1948 is to ensure the workers employed in factories. The objective is health, as I told you earlier, health. So these are these major objective regarding the health, regarding the safety, welfare, proper working hours, leave, other benefits of these workers. So then the act required that workers should work healthy and sanitary conditions for that purpose. It provides precautions should be taken for safety of workers and prevention of accidents. So if some hazards are there, so then they need to take precaution. They need to provide proper lighting all we are going to discuss one by one. First, we need to understand the definition. So, what is called factory? Right, the factory called where the employees are working at least minimum 10 to 20 members. It is called a factory. The factory is called the definition of factory as per this act. The factory means any premises including Princeton, therefore, thereof, any part of which manufacturing process is carrying on which without aid the power, without, so without power also, there is no required power, right? Sometime without power also. And provided that at least 10 or 20 persons respectively are employed or were employed in any day preceding 12 months, explained it is called as a factory. So factory means we can't say the town that just 10 to 12 members with power, without power is also called as a factory. Occupier, occupier if it a factory means a person who has ultimate control over the affair of factory, right? It includes his partner in case of firm director, any there, right? These chief inspector officer there will discuss elaborate. So what is mean by worker? Who is called as a worker as per this act? Worker means a person employed directly by or through any agency, including contractual, with or without knowledge of their principal employer, whether for this remuneration or not, any manufacturing process or in any other kind or work in incidental, or these are called as the workers. So employees, the meaning employed also given here. So there are some hazards process also there. Some industries are very hazard process that, and manufacturing process also they're giving some basic definitions uh, feeding to this act. So essential elements of this act. So see that the essential elements are the 12 months where said process, manufacturing process take place, right? And the followings are not covered the definition of factories act. So they have the separate rules and regulations are there. The following are not covered by the definition of the factory: railway runnings, mining, mobile units of armed forces, hotels, and eating places or restaurants are not covered under this Factories Act. Apart from remaining, all under comes under this Factories Act. So every factory they need to appoint the factory inspector, one of the employee, the factory inspector necessary approval for the chief uh, inspectors of the factory is obtained for the plan of the factory, right? Approval, licensing, and registration of factories. So any new industry, any establishments are there, they need to apply the state government as per this law and as per this Act, Section 6, empower the states to make the rules with regard to licensing and regulations of factories under the Act as following. So the submission of proposal and everything is correct, they need to get approval. So now automatic approval process also there as per this government changes. See, in Telangana, we have TSI pass automatically. If you uh, license will be approved automatically if the due dates are over. Then provisions. So provisions relating to the health. So as earlier I told you, the provision relating to health, safety, right? So now the provisions related to safety, health point of view, cleanness. The management has to maintain certain cleanness conditions in an organizations. Like we talked about these lubrication working employees, or singer inequalities, or mining, or what we call pharma company. They need to maintain proper cleaning as per the Section 11 of Industrial Act. Then second one is disposal of waste and fluids. So see after this chemical waste, how they're cleaning. There is separate acts are there regarding this disposal of waste and how this will affected this humans they affected, right? And ventilation for ventilation temperature, proper ventilation is required, proper temperature is also maintained for the working conditions, where there is a coal mines, the power generation. We have seen some incident in power generation Srisalam projects in Telangana also we see some ventilation problem, temperature problem. If anything, factory should proper arrangements for adequate ventilation and circulation of the fresh air. And dust film also there as per this section 14 of Labour Act, Factories Act 1948. And artificial artificial uh, humidification is also there. The state government overcrowding is also reducing overcrowding. Lifting is also required, and proper drinking water has to provide to these employees working, wages workers in working in organization as per this health condition. Unilateral and lateral is also there, and spot in. These are related to 10 are related to health. Now these are related to section. These are related to safety. Provisions for relating the safety of workers as per this labor, as per this Factories Act 1948. Fencing machinery. So wherever the machining are there, we need to, the industry has to maintain the fencing. So knowingly, unknowingly, if anything, the uh, person can be uh, entered in the mission area, the life can be spoiled, right? We can't replace this life of any human being. So that is the reason fencing has to maintain properly as per section 2021 and work on our near machinery in motion. So if any mission is working, so person can they need to take some precautions to run the machinery. Employment on dangerous machineries. So dangerous machineries. So as per 20, section 23, the section prescribed that employ of young person or dangerous machinery is not allowed. So in this case, where he has been fully instructed in the usage of machinery and working under supervision, he might be allowed to work in it. So devices, devices of cutting of power and self-acting machinery, seizing of new machinery, provision of employment of women working near cotton operations. So women and no, and, are not allowed for these as industries. Hosting the lifts are and lifting machinery ropes are there. All RC talks about this safety of workers, either men and women, regarding this fact within the factory, within these organizations, and power to make rules. All these are there. Now we talked about third one is provisions for welfare of working. So washing facilities required. See that welfare facilities are all are there here. There are eight. There are eight are there. First one is washing facility, facility to storing and dry clothes. So if the factory members enter the factory, they need to change the dress as per this required by these factories. All are this. So if it's in the chemical industry, so employee can wear 2, 3 dresses to avoid this whatever this chemical smells all need to cover. So factories for sitting. So after lunchtime and sometime. So see, we need to we need to alert. So see, nowadays these private organizations they won't follow these kind of rules and regulations, right? So if they won't follow, the labor officer of the state government or district labor officer, they can need to visit these organizations and they need to suggest and they need to take proper action. Those are not providing these facilities. So first aid appliances are there. So most of the organizations are providing first aid appliances. So proper canteen. So now these see that we can see these shopping malls. The employees are working 100 and 200. They don't have any canteen for their own. They are under factories only, Factories Act, but they were not implemented, and they are not allowed to sit also. If we see any visiting any few of our students working in Reliance Trends and few organizations, they won't allowed to sit for 9 hours. But as per this act, they need to sit together sometime, facility for sitting also. And they need to maintain the canteen. No canteen allowed. Nowadays, the private organizations are not implemented 100%. Restroom, the shelters and restroom and lunch rooms also provide. And see any mother is there, the babies are there, they need to provide the crèche rooms. Welfare officer also provide. So canteens also required. And shelter, if the workers are more than 150, they need to maintain separate lunch room and shelter is also provided. So if any members, if any factory where more than 30 women workers are cordially employed, so they need to maintain separate room for uh, right? Separate room for welfare officer, where the employees are more than 500. Any factory whose employees are more than 500, they need to appoint one separate welfare officer in such organization. The state government may prescribe the duties, qualification, conditions of this welfare officer. More than 500 employees. Such some organizations are more than 500. Still, they won't follow this act. So, government organization they need to follow. The private organization they won't follow. See, working hours can be defined as the hours. Third one, fourth one is working hours. Working hours for adult. So defined as per hours, either daily, basic, monthly hours are there. So weekly hours, an adult work shall be allowed to work only uh, 48 hours in a week. 48 hours in a week. So 8 into 6, 48 hours in a week. So week holiday is a mandatory. Without week holiday, right? Without no week holiday is mandatory as per this Factories Act 1948, Section 52, right? And compensation holiday is also there. Compensation, see the work your employee is working more than 1 day. So what we call OD, holiday day. So they need to climb one. All these holidays should be allowed either same month or which are in the holidays comes due to next 2 months immediately from this month. See this compensation holidays is provided and the daily hours. So daily hours according to the section adult workers where male or female shall not be required or allowed to work in a factory more than 9 hours. More than 9 hours. Still, some organizations are allowed this is expecting the employee can work more than 9 hours also. See, this act, whatever these labor laws, whatever this ILO says that we implement say 9 hours, right? Including lunch hours. These 9 hours including lunch hours. So previously there is no biometric and there is no facial recognition. All these, at least certain exemptions are given now. So they won't trust their employees. They trust in that machine, right? Am I correct, sir? They won't trust. They won't believe this employee. They believe the only is biometric machine. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So now this interval for rest. So no adult work should be work continuously for more than 5 hours, unless a rest interval at least half an hour given to them. Means at least half an hour lunch break must be given, and they need to take some break. These are can be the state government subject to control. The state government chief inspector of labor officer, they can verify the records of these industries, organization, all these. Night shifts. So where worker in a factory work in night shifts, that is shift extended beyond 8 hours. Beyond 8 hours, the workly or company holiday should be provided only of 24 consecutive hours in a shift. See, extra wage for overtime. So overtime, worker has the right to ask these management to ask for extra wage. Overtime amount is also as per this act. So ordinary rate of wages. So as per these rules and regulations amended by the year to year, the state governments, central government, the industry has to be implemented. So there are some of the cases are there. Supreme Court cases also regarding this wage of workers. So rate of wage for these state workers mean పనిని బట్టి వేతనం చెల్లించాలంట మనం. Whatever this work, as per there, the company has to pay this fair remuneration. Provisions relating to the wage and the compensation. So wage during leave period. So if a leave period, na, Sunday is also included for leave period. We can't consider 24 days into certain amount. So they will consider all 1 month, including Sundays, they need to pay this amount as per Section 80. For the leave allowed to the work to a worker, submitted entitled wage at a rate of equal of the daily, right? These are the there. That standard family, the mean the family consisting of a worker, His or spouse or two children below age of 14 years are required to allow three adults consumption unit as per section 80 subsection 2. And payment in advance in certain cases. So like section 81 provides that where an adult work has been allowed to leave for not less than 4 days and a child worker not less than 5 days, wage due to leave period should be paid in advance before his leave begins. So mode of recovery and unpaid is also covered in the Factors Act 1948. Provision related to hazards process. Some of the organizations are very difficult, and if anything goes wrong, the person life can be danger. So they need to take certain precautions, like pharma organizations and chemical organizations, like uh, coal mining, power generation, right? The heavy industries. So these industries can be take precautions as per this act. And compulsory disclosure of information above the occupier. So what are these? No, they need to disclose the signboards regarding this information regarding the plan or emergency condition. Specific responsibility of occupier relations hazard process also required. And after this, see that the provisions to the annual leave with wage. So as per this act, section 78 to section 48, section 48 talks about chapter 8 of this act, provisions relating to these annual wages. So annual leave with age. So no days, number of days to be granted as leave. See, for an a day or 1 day or every 20 days of work permitted for a child 1 day, like there are some provisions are given, rules or regulations regarding these holidays. So subject to maximum 30 days, an adult at 40 days, a child can be allowed more than that. There is to some. So application rule apply for wage, leave with wage, with proper information. Scheme for leave is also there. Now there are some special provisions regarding to this Labor Act. The state government will notify the gazette, official gazette, declared that all any the provisions act shall be no. So every year the government declared the holidays list. So these holidays list industries can be declared holidays, and they won't allow to workers to work in a holidays period. Right, and obligations of employees and workers. Right, and obligations of employers and workers. See that the rights and obligations of the employer, the safe work environment. The employer must provide a safe work environment and access to information related to the potential hazards. So if any hazards are there, they need to inform properly and give guidance to the employer workers regarding this health issue all. And requested request change to avoid potential hazards also. Participate in working workplace inspection, not receive any. These are the rights and obligations. See the obligations to provide employees with the work agreed and in a given necessary instruction clearly. All are these obligations of employees. Now the rights of workers. The no worker in a factory shall fulfill interface without any misuse any appliances and conventions or any other things is also followed. So they have some rights to obtain the occupier, the management information relating to work, health and safety at work, get trained within the factory where possible, or to be get information in himself. All are there. The provisions relating to office and penalties also there. So complaints under this act. So if any complaint regarding this occupier or management, how to proceed, this also mentioned in this act. Officers by complaint is also a penalty is also there. So there is a mechanism is there if anything goes wrong, and they need to protect. Penalties and the procedures also mentioned in this act. Section 92 regarding the general penalties of officers if they are deviating any rules and regulations. Right, and also see that liabilities of owners of premises in certain instructions. So they need to follow proper drainage system, water, lighting, electricity, sanitation, subject to few other provisions has to be provided as per this act. Penalty for obstructing inspector section 95, they can fine up to 6 months, imprisonment of 10,000 rupees or both sometime. Penalty for wrong disclosing of results or any under this is also penalty is also provided. And after this, we'll move to the next topic. The next topic is second block under say after this labor laws. Now we move to one more law, that is Trade Union Act 1926. Trade Union Act 19. So this is also passed under British government, British Parliament in 1926. Still, we don't have any Parliament. There is no Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. All these are under British rule. You Trade Union Act 1926. So this act we talked about the meaning, nature, scope of trade unions, significance of trade union, what are the objectives and characteristics of trade union, functions of trade union, and functions of trade union. Wait a minute. Functions of trade union, structure, types of trade unions, what are the advantages and disadvantages of trade unions, and Trade Union Act 1926, the definition, and rights and duties of a restricted trade union, all are penalties, all are covered in this act, Trade Union Act, Trade Union Act 1926. So was passed with the created rules for regulations and closer monitoring the trade unions. So Trade Union Act 1926, they will with the registration with the trade union, their rights and liabilities and responsibilities. So like in this period, say First World War, Second World War, even Nehru also they did for strike regarding this fair remuneration for workers. So what is the meaning of this Trade Union Act 1926? Trade Union 1926 for labor union or trade union or recognition formally known as formed by workers from relating field that work in common interest of these members. Right. So there are some definitions are given here. So trade union is an association of employees designed primarily to maintain or to improve the conditions of employment of its members. So ultimately, they need to protect employees. So as per this Trade Union Act 1926, the definition is given here. What is a trade union? A trade union is a continuous association of persons in industry wherein whether the employees or independent workers formed primarily for the purpose of pursuit of interest of its members for the trade union, for the trade they represent. So like there are definitions are given. What is the nature? So the definition is very clear. Trade unions. The nature is the trade union. The trade unions major are a major component of the modern industrial relation system. All trade unions have to objectives or goals to achieve, which are continued to in their constitution and each what we call now and the bylaws. The trade union are now considered as a subsystem which seeks to serve the specific subject group interest and also considered itself as a part of these organizations. So in terms of the later validity and the contribution to the growth of community itself, every trade union they have some rules and regulation and also they have to frame their own bylaws and they need to amend it the bylaws. The significance of trade unions are the significance of trade union is the specific the work a worker feel very weak when he is alone. Like unity is a strength. The union provide him an opportunity to achieve his objective with the support of this collective uh, colleague fellows. Right? Trade union, no? Union is a collective means we need to have bargaining power. We need to fight them. We need to fight regarding our rights and duties. Union protects the economic interest of the workers and ensure a reasonable wage rate and wage plan for them. So as a collective, as a union, they need to sit together to management, ask the workers the fair remuneration. The union help the workers in getting certain amenities for them in addition to higher wages. At the same time, they need to ask the children's education. They need to ask for their life in group insurance. They need to ask what we call the children's education, free education or something. They need to get betterment or they need to ask the transportation facility. They need to ask for bonus, like they have some additional apart from age. They need to ask some kind of amenities. Union also provides, in certain cases, cash assistance at the time of sick or some other emergencies. So sometimes union can ask, emergency is there, they need to ask some kind of cash provision for fulfilling these emergency cases. Union recognize negotiation between worker and management and are instruments for settlement of disputes. So these unions are playing a very important role to settle the industrial disputes in both side, worker side as well as management side. Unions act as a platform to ventilate, expression his grievances or employees, workers in a management. So these are basic uh, significance are there for this trade union. Apart from the trade union is also beneficial to employer it in organization to work under one banner and encourage them follow to specific means for getting this their demands. So recently, most of this union, most of the organizations, they will association CPA, CPM are ruling party. So the outsider is a member and they will elect to see that we have seen this TC how they are that union how they strong like teacher union they're how they're very strong like every factory every industry they have their own union is there. Objectives and characteristics of trade union. The objectives are economic and non-economic objectives are there. The economic objectives are to secure for workers fair wages, to secure better and more fringe benefits, to safety, safeguard of security of job and employment. So there is no hire and fire. They need to give some time and notice period and give this one time, two time notice, all these. So betterment of working condition to improve productivity, to secure opportunity for growth and development of employees, to seek opportunity for promotion, training, and so on. There are non-economic objectives also has this of a trade union. The non-academic objectives are to install in its members a sense of social responsibility, to influence social economic policies for community through civic participation in their formulation at various levels, to contribute towards community development, to strengthen political power of the workers, to render social services, to promote national integration, and so on. So, like these are these significance of trade union. And characteristics of trade union, association of employees, a voluntary association, permanent body, common interest, collective action, and report with management, like various kind of associations are there uh, as per their own operation function, one of the management, all this. So function is they can secure fair wage workers, safeguard security to tenure of, and it improve conditions and all are there. So I will stop here. If you have any doubt, please. So now we stop 5.6 and next Saturday, Sunday we'll cover remaining topics.
No doubts.
Thank you all for joining the session. Now I'm close and we'll meet on next Saturday.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.